Hey there. So we're gonna go ahead and start uh, putting the tier list together for Archazia's Island regarding the Emerald cards, and we've already done that for the Amber and the Amethyst cards. And this is not the dual ink cards. This is just the individual ink colors. We will do the dual ink colors all together on their own separate tier list. So I tried doing this for all the cards. At the end, the video ended up being several hours long, and I realized that no one was gonna watch a 4 hour long video. And maybe there was a couple, but I think this is a little bit more easily digestible. Okay, so let's start. Let's go ahead and do this. All right. So first card is Drizella. That's a 4-cost inkable 4/4 quest for 1. This card pretty much has no chance of seeing any kind of play, and we're gonna preface this by saying S tier is meta warping, meta changing. D tier is it's not going to see any play, and we're talking about the game from a competitive standpoint. I think that the design team did a great job with this set. Most of the mechanics are really good. They did a really good job for the vast majority of the set. Just because I think a card is bad does not mean that it's a bad card. It's a bad card in the context of I'm going to sit down, I'm going to play in a tournament for prizes, and I don't want this in my deck, or I really, really want this in my deck. So, real quick rundown here. S tier, you're playing this card. In this color, if you're in these colors, you're probably playing this card, or if you're in a specific archetype, you're absolutely playing this card. A tier is actually not that much different. The difference is S tier is probably warping the game around it. So you have to play these cards, or you have to build your deck in a way that you can play against those cards, or you will have a really hard time. A tier, you're probably going to play some number of those cards in these colors. B tier is you might play 1 or 2 copies in these colors if you have the right theme. And then C tier is it's a decent card. You might see a copy here or there. Maybe it will break through and actually be a good card, but it probably is too early for it, or there's not enough support for it yet. And then D tier is I'm just not going to be playing this card. So, see, Gringe. 2-cost inkable 2/2 quest for 1. Whenever this character quests, you may pay 1, or you do pay 1 less for the next action you play this turn. This card is kind of cool. 2/2 quest for 1, reducing an action, and that's even on songs, though it's not going to change what you're singing them for. So this is going to be kind of interesting with getting like a free like Fire the Cannons or something like that, or 1-cost Baboom, things like that. I guess you could even do this with making a You Came Back cheaper. There is a lot of support for this action, these action matters type cards, and I think Grenge goes in that, and I think just because of that alone, and I think that he's a pretty decent example of that. Well, we're going to put him into C tier. We have to see if this proves out, but it's an interesting concept. Baymax. 2-cost inkable 3/2 quest for 2. This character enters play exerted. I think this card's actually at least as good as Bonsai. The fact that this thing comes in exerted is really not all that big of a deal, in my opinion. What? They challenge into it, and they almost certainly lose whatever they're challenging into it with. Sometimes that's not great. Sometimes they're going to do it with their 2/2 or their 2/1 or whatever, and that's going to feel particularly bad. But if they have, let's say, Cinderella or something like that, then they're going to sing their song and they're going to blow it up regardless. This is going to trade into most things. It's going to trade into Calhoun. And then if this thing readies up, then great. I think the card is at least as good as Bonsai. I think the card's totally fine. I think it's decent. I'm gonna put this in B tier. I think this has a chance to see some play in like these aggressive purple green yellow style decks. Thomas O'Malley is a 3-cost inkable 4/2 with Ward. Look, 4/2. I wish this was a 3/3. Ward is going to be important this set, I think. And him having Ward is not nothing, for sure. It's definitely not nothing. But practically dies to everything. So he's only questing for one. Um, he has ward. That's not nothing. So yeah, he's gonna rumble in. He's probably just gonna die to whatever he's rumbling with. He kills Daisy, and that is certainly something that he can claim. I'm gonna put that in the C tier. Pete, 1 cost, 1/2. Quest for 1. Whenever you play an action that isn't a song, you may banish a chosen item, and that's what I'm kind of talking about with this. Actions matter, and specifically actions that are not songs matter to like pirates. I think this card has a chance to see some play. Items are going to be really prevalent. This is rewarding you for playing non-song actions. I don't know that this is like, is this better than Clarabelle? Clarabelle is a card that you can play and pay 2 extra and then blow up an item. It's the same cost and the stats are the same. One of them is requiring you to play an action. One of them is requiring you to pay more ink. So Pete can stay on the board and continuously break items. Clarabelle is doing it just when she hits the board. If you were top decking, I think that Clarabelle is a slight bit better than Pete, but it's neither here nor there. I think that they both have their merits, and because we have to make a comparison with them, I think it's going to go into C tier. I think it's a good card overall. It's not bad, and he has a really, really great shift. Floodborn that can shift over him, although I don't think that they would be shifting over him in particular. I think Games Referee is the one that you'll be shifting over. But yeah, this is a possible target. Hero Hamada, 3 cost, inkable, 3/3, quest for 1. When you play a Floodborn character over this card, draw a card. It's fine. You want to play the hero Floodborn or Baymax over this. I think it's a fine card. I don't, if that deck is real, this is at least here. Yeah, it's gonna be tough. Let's put it here. Cheshire Cat, 5 cost, inkable, 4/3, quest for 2. Stats are okay. When you play this character, you may deal 2 damage to chosen damage character. I've said it before to my friends and to the people I play with on a regular basis, and I will say it forever and ever. I do not like this green mechanic that cares about damage. I know that there are cards that are supporting it like explicitly much better this set. It does not change the fact that I don't like them. They pigeonhole it into this really specific strategy that I just do not like. That being said, this card is fine. It's in that strategy. I think it's okay. It's not an entirely unplayable card. I don't like it. It's like maybe bottom of C, top of D. Yeah. We'll put it there. All right, Shere Khan. This is the... If you play League of Legends, this is the Jhin of the set. He loves the number 4, right? 4 cost on inkable, 4/4, quest for 4. I'm surprised if he doesn't make you discard 4 cards. And look, there's 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So four instances of the number 4. I think it's awesome. When you play this character, you discard your hand. You're really only playing this in one style of deck. That's aggro. That's a deck that you're dumping your hand, and then you have no, one card maybe in hand left at that point, and you're jamming this guy. I don't know that this card is expressly good. I think he's a great top deck. He's asking the opponent, can you answer me? He's very, very strong. He rumbles in for 4. He survives a lot of a lot of other characters. If you really need him to do that job, really it's more that he can quest for 4 and then hopefully survive a challenge and do it again. I think that he's a decent card. He has a chance of seeing some play. We'll put him here. I think he's either here or here. Let's put him here, because I think if he's here, then he has to be at least here. And yeah, I think so. Basil, 6 cost inkable, 3/6, quest for 3. When this character requests, opposing damage characters gain reckless during their next turn. It's all opposing characters that are damaged. I, I don't love the mechanic. 6 cost is kind of expensive. I guess you could like close a game out with this thing, but yeah, I think that, I mean, we can put him in C tier. If you're playing him in the Queen of Hearts style deck where, you know, everything's coming in with the damage, then maybe this is like better. And I'd like this to be better. I'd like to be proven wrong on a lot of this stuff. Like, not from an ego standpoint, but I would genuinely like these cards to be better than when I'm evaluating them, because that means that the meta will be more diverse than I'm predicting. Okay, moving on. Donald Duck, 2 cost, uninkable, 1/1, quest for 2. When this character is challenged, you may return an action card that isn't a song card from your discard to your hand. As long as they are challenging this card, and they are probably incentivized to 2 cost, 2 lore, and he's only a 1/1, he's probably not really taking any of your opponent's dudes out. You're getting an action back. You're getting some sort of refund. You have to have an action in your discard, of course, for this to be usable. I guess the dream would be something like what? Play Donald on 2 on turn 3. You could do something like something really silly like quest for 2. Play You Came Back, quest for 2, and then they challenge them. You get the You Came Back again. And then you could kind of do some shenanigans with that. You could grab Let the Storm Rage On. Sorry, can't be a song, so you can't grab those. So, maybe like a Smash, Fire the Cannons. So, yeah, I don't know. This card's interesting, and it's a pirate. So, this card is going to see at least some play in that archetype. I think it's very, very good here. Green is giving me a lot more difficulty because I think they're supporting this pirate idea way, way better than some of the other ideas that are maybe locked behind the dual ink that we haven't really talked about yet. So this is I'm struggling with this a little bit more. Whereas Donald, I feel like maybe here maybe. Yeah, maybe like this. I think this is still better. I think this is back here. I think this is probably back here. I think this is still better. Yeah. Okay. Moving on, we have Berlioz, or however you say this. 3 cost, inkable, 2/5. Quest for 1. Big stat line. Just questing for 1. It's fine. I mean, if you're playing it in your draft or whatever, I can understand it. I wouldn't put it in my deck. I'm not gonna hinge my games on this card. Lady, 1 cost, uninkable, 1/2, quest for 1. While you have a character named Tramp in play, this character gets +1 lore. I don't think this card is gonna see play. I mean, it's cool in the thematic kind of sense where you're playing it like, oh, if I have Tramp, I get to quest for 2. But I don't think it's easy to play personally. Yzma, 2 cost, inkable, 2/2, quest for 1. When you play this character, you may draw a card, then choose and discard a card. We have plenty of cards like this that see pretty close to no play. And they, at one point they did. I don't know that green necessarily wants this card. It's better than absolutely nothing. It's a terrible top deck because you get no cards out of it. So I'm gonna put it there. Pacha, 3 cost, 3/2, inkable, quest for 1. But while you have more cards in your hand than each opponent, this character gets +2 lore. This is an interesting card. If you're playing a discard deck, this could be good. This is in the very competitive 3 cost slot. But this kind of reminds me of Piglet, except instead of being a 2 cost, it's a 3 cost. It's a 3/2 instead of a 2/2. Piglet does see play, but I think he's a little bit easier to turn on in some ways. But if you're playing discard, maybe not. So, I don't know. Pacha is interesting. Pacha has potential. Let's put him there. Okay, what's the next pure green card? Daisy Duck. Where is Daisy Duck here? There she is. we'll put here in D tier. 8 cost, uninkable, 6/5, quest for 3. During your turn, once during your turn, whenever a card is put in your inkwell, chosen opponent chooses one of their cards and returns that card to their hand. This card is bad. This card is not good. I get that you can, like, this is like, the idea is like, it's a repeatable Mother Gothel that, you know, they choose a card and they put it back in their hand. This card is not good. If this card was whenever you put a card in your inkwell, this card would be better. I don't know, would it be too strong? I mean, obviously, I think the idea is that you want to play this in Baja Blast, blue-green, and then, you know, control the board with the way that they control the board right now. This is fitting that theme fairly well, but it really needed to be not just once. It needed to be whenever you inked, and then it would be a really good card. I think it would actually be a good card. It's 8 cost, uninkable. And yes, the stats are decent, but it's 8 cost and it's uninkable. I don't think this card is very good. And maybe I'll be proven wrong. Maybe this card will be nuts, and then I'm nuts for putting it down there in the D tier. I just think that if you're going to be paying 8 in Baja Blast for a card, why not Mufasa? If you're going to be paying close to 8, why not be playing Clarabelle? There are other cards, far better cards than playing Daisy Duck. So, yeah, I'm going to say Daisy Duck is not a good card. Moving on to Tramp. 2 cost, inkable, 1/3, quest for 1. If you have a character named Lady in play, you may pay 1 less to play this character, so very cool. When you play this chosen character, yours gets +1 strength this turn for each other character you have in play. I don't know. This is kind of a funky card. I don't really like it. It goes alongside Lady. They can be together here. Do they complete each other's art here? That kind of looks somewhat similar. No, I don't think so, but it looks kind of like it. Yeah, I don't think that this card is particularly good. All right, moving on. King of Hearts. 4 cost, uninkable, 3/3, quest for 2. Damage characters can't challenge your characters. In the green-red Queen of Hearts spread damage around, this is an interesting card because of that possibility of that combo. I think that this card has some potential, like here maybe. Yeah, we'll put it here. Interesting. 4 cost uninkable stinks, but we already have so many uninkable cards in Emerald. It's tough to fit them all. So, Duchess. 2 cost inkable, 3/2. Yeah, it's just vanilla. Fine, stats are fine, but again, you're not hinging your chances of doing well in an event on a card like this. This is Anastasia. 3 cost inkable, 3/1. Quest for 2. Whenever this character is challenged, the challenging player chooses and discards a card. I like this kind of like Merfolk into Flynn Rider on 2, into Anastasia on 3. All these discard card effects that if you challenge. I think that this card has some play. Yeah, I could see some play. Lady Tremaine. I hate this card. I hate what they took away from us from a legendary. This card is horrible. It's terrible. 6 cost, uninkable, 3/3, quest for 2. Exert, return chosen damage character to the player's hand, then each opponent discards a card at random. No. This card is garbage. It could have at least been inkable, and then it would have been slightly less stinky garbage, but this is bad. This had no reason to not at least be an on-play effect. And even at an on-play effect, this would be, like, okay. Like, this would be a fine card. This is just this is a tragic card. This is just a bulk legendary. It's going to see almost no play. Hopefully I'm proven wrong. This card is like an all-star. I do not think so. I think this card is terrible. Wake Up Ellis. It's an action, costs 1, it's inkable, return chosen damage character to the player's hand. I think this card is interesting. I don't know that, I don't know what deck it goes into right away, but I don't think it belongs down here. I think that there is some merit there. I think you could return opposing Smees. I think you can return your own guys after you challenge in and get some use out of them. Maybe this goes into something like green purple, challenge in with goat, bounce to your hand. I don't know. It'd be interesting. But I think that this card is definitely much better than any of these cards down here. He's a tramp. 1 cost, inkable, song. Chosen character gets +1 power, strength this turn for each character you have in play. My initial feelings on this card are so what. That's how I feel about this card. I get that Emerald can sometimes struggle with having a lot of strength on board, and this can be that card that gives that boost. And if you sing it with Ursula, Deceiver of All, you can double up that strength and really get in. And maybe for that alone, this will go up. I just feel like so what. I feel like maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm super wrong on this, and this belongs higher. I don't think much of it. Okay, the Return of Hercules. This is our second legendary for Emerald, and it's far more interesting than Lady Tremaine. It's a 5-cost inkable action, and each player may reveal a character card from their hand and play it for free. So, I'm sure everybody's heard the comparisons to Show and Tell from Magic the Gathering. That is a 3-mana sorcery, and both players choose a card, and it doesn't have to be a character. It can be several different kinds of cards, but it has to be a permanent. That means something that stays on the battlefield. And I think that this card would have been significantly better if it was just reveal a card and play it for free. And I think the other thing about this card that makes it, say worse than Show and Tell, is that both players are not revealing at the exact same time and putting them into play at the same time. The fact that you have to reveal and then play it for free first means that your opponent can react. I don't necessarily like that. There are 2 color combinations that are probably going to want to play this card, I'm sorry. And that's going to be green-red, and probably with the Robin Hood, the 4-cost Ruby Robin Hood that when you quest, you look at the top 4, play an action that costs 6 or less for free, and Baja Blast. And Baja Blast is going to want to play this card on like turn 4 to play something like Clarabelle or to play Mufasa. That's what you're playing with this. And then with the other combo that I had mentioned with the red green, there is a little bit more like creativity going on there. I think I suppose you could do, if you have like the Queen of Hearts, the red green Queen of Hearts on board, and you Return of Hercules, you could play like the 9-cost Prince Philip and then wipe their board. That could be really strong, or you could do Dragon. But I feel like that only 2 decks that are going to be able to utilize this card even reasonably well are going to be Ruby Emerald and Emerald Sapphire, and that's because they have targets that are worth it. Do I think that this card is going to immediately impact the metagame? I have no clue. But as much as everyone else is going to suspect this is probably true. This card is probably only going to get better. And this is kind of the thing with Emerald cards, is that they sometimes are a long, slow burn. Ursula, Deceiver of All, is a card that they have to take into account every single time that they print a 3-cost song, because she makes that song infinitely better. Well, she makes it twice as good, actually. And now with the Return of Hercules, they have to be careful about what characters they're printing, because if they can just return to Herc it, then you're in a spot where now you have to deal with this card on turn 5 at, maybe even 4 if you are playing against a Baja Blast. Yeah, so you can be sure that they're going to be a little bit more careful about how they're designing their characters because of the existence of this card. How would I rate this card? I have a hard time thinking that this card is going to do a ton, and I have a hard time believing that this card is going to do nothing. I'm going to put it here because I genuinely do not know. This could be down in the D for the next 2 years, and then it'll be an S tier card. This could be super good and be something like A tier, like the day it comes out, and hitting Mufasa on turn 4 turns out to be extra insane, and just doubling your ink because they can't remove this 4/9. But it's tough. So we're gonna put it at the top of B. I think this card's really good. And then we're going to go ahead and do, let's take a look at Emerald Coil. This is going to be the last card in Emerald. And this is a 3-cost uninkable item called Emerald Coil, of course. And during your turn, whenever a card is put into your inkwell, chosen character gains evasive until the start of your next turn. So this is my opinion. I think that there's 3 coils that are worth playing. This is one of them. The other one is Ruby Coil, and of course, Sapphire Coil is, if we had to pick one, it's that one. I think that this card is pretty decent. I don't know why it has to be uninkable. I don't know why it has to cost 3. Put it down here. But like top of C, bottom of B, yeah, we'll put it back here. If you notice here, I don't think that there's anything in Emerald that is jumping out at me as insanely good. Now, Emerald has some good dual ink cards. There's a couple of good dual ink cards in Emerald. But Emerald doesn't have any standout cards in its own color that I think are A or S tier. I genuinely do not think that there is anything in this color that is just jumping out and bashing me over the head. I do think that the designers did a good job on this set overall. I have a couple problems with some cards, and we will get to those cards when we get there. But for Emerald, I think that there was some weaker cards here. Tremaine was a huge missed opportunity for an on-play effect that, even if it was uninkable, I think if it was an on-play effect and it would be better. Even if he had to stick with the damage matters, I think it wouldn't even be that bad if it was non-damaged character. They choose the return they choose a character, they return it, and then they discard a card. I think that would be an incredibly good card, and I don't even know that it would be like insanely busted. Maybe it would be. Maybe getting Bruno'd, because that's what that is. We don't talk about Bruno, but they choose. But maybe that kind of Bruno effect is a little too strong. I mean, random discard is brutal to play against. You tend to discard the card that you don't want to discard the most when it's random. So, but anyways, this is my thoughts on Emerald as the pure color. And yeah, so let me know, what do you think that I got wrong? Did I put too many cards in D tier? Do you think some of these B tier cards could move up? Do you think that the C tier cards deserve, some of them deserve to be in B? What did I get wrong, do you think? Obviously I haven't played with a ton of these cards. I've played with some of them. I haven't played with all of them. So, and that's without even knowing where things go. You're just kind of taking your best guess at what things are going to look like. So this is where I'm at. Let me know what you think I got wrong. If you think I got it all right, which I don't think that that's true. This is just my reactions to this. So